Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Wall Township Board of Education meeting for Tuesday, September 20th, 2022. Please stand for the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Smythe, could we have the sunshine statement and roll call, please?
Yes, this is the Wall Township Board of Education meeting for which adequate notice under the Open Public Meeting Act was provided by notice to the Co-Star, Asbury Park Press, Township Clerk's Office, all Wall Township Public Schools, and the Board Administration Office and the Township Administration Office on January 6, 2022. Take a roll call. Mr. Buffer?
Here.
Mr. Hall? Here. Ms. Hodges?
Here.
Mr. Malik?
Here.
Mr. Nasser?
Here.
Mr. Sanfilippo?
Here.
Ms. Stites? Here. Mr. Wondrak?
He's on his way.
Mr. Annese?
Here. Thank you. Okay, at this time, could I have a motion for number 2 to go into executive session for letters A, D, G, and H on the agenda?
Make that motion.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We will be back at approximately 7:30 p.m. Good evening. At this time, we will reconvene the Wall Township Board of Education meeting for Tuesday, September 20th, 2022. We started at 6:15 p.m. Mr. Smythe, roll call, please.
Mr. Buffer?
Here.
Mr. Hall?
Here.
Sadnett?
Here.
Mr. Mallett?
Here.
Mr. Nasser?
Here.
Mr. Sanfilippo?
Here.
Ms. Stites?
Here.
Mr. Wondrak? Ms. Brody?
Here.
Mr. Adenizio?
Here. All right. We're going to start with Ms. Madison Brody, our new student rep. Welcome and good evening.
Thank
I'm sorry.
you.
I apologize 1 second. I didn't see them back there. We are going to do color guard. It's the first meeting of the new school year. So everybody, please stand.
Color guard. Hold. The fifth. Freeze dead. Colors.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Carry. Colors. Cut. Right. Fix. Forward. Mark. Color guard. Hold. Forward. Arms. Cut. Distance.
Madison, welcome. Good evening.
Thank you for having me. Hi, my name's Madison, and I'm a junior this year. I'm a part of several clubs, most notably the Environmental Club as a club officer for Mr. Tennant, the Crimson Courier, our school newspaper, and the Creative Writing Club. I will introduce Lauren, as she's obviously absent today, so she says hello. She's a senior this year, and she spent all of her years at the Wall High School, middle school, and elementary school. She's an aspiring musician, and in school, she's a member of the National Honor Society. We're both incredibly thankful for all the board members for this opportunity and for Mr. Davis for selecting us and seeing our potential within this position. We will do our best this year to properly fulfill our duties as student reps and form lasting connections with you all. To start, we have a very exciting and surprising announcement to make. One of our very own Wall High School alumni has just released her first album, Girl of My Dreams, going by her last name Fletcher. Carrie Fletcher was a 2012 graduate and was recently on the Jimmy Fallon show for her top 100 Billboard song, Undrunk. Once again proving Wall High School is the best small town for stardom. Riding on the happy wave, just last Tuesday, Wall High School officially became a Sustainable Jersey certified school, thanks to Dr. Handerhan's commitment to our community's ecological footprint. We're this much closer to being an environmentally conscious institution. However, the star event of the week has to be the club fair this Wednesday. During lunch, it seems we're finally adjusting to a post-COVID groove, and we're thrilled to welcome our new peers into our school through mentorship and community. Lauren wanted me to note her absence is unwilling and due to a sudden sinus infection. She truly wishes she could be here, and she has communicated her passion for the community and standing up to wrongdoings of the world. Specifically, she wanted me to mention that next week she will probably be back for public comment to talk about some further issues. Also, we may, within the next few meetings, reorganize the structure of our reports. We're still brainstorming what this may look like, but we wanted to give you all a heads up. And then again, we'd both like to reiterate our appreciation for such an honor, and we could not be more delighted to serve our community in such a way. We'd like to end our report here. Thank you.
thank you and welcome. And at this time, I know you need to go home, so you're free to go. Thank you.
Thank you, Madison.
Thank you.
I also had the opportunity to catch Fletcher over the weekend at the See Here Now Festival, so it was great to see the Wall alum. She was right before Stevie Nicks, in case you were wondering.
Okay, we will move on now to our special presentations, 2022 state testing results. And I will turn it over to our Assistant Superintendent, Mrs. McCann. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. So we'll wait about a couple seconds for this. There we go, our presentation. So every year, school districts are required to report out their testing results from the previous school year. So we had multiple assessments that were administered last spring, and we're just going to briefly go over each of the results for each of those assessments. So our first assessment that we're going to review is the New Jersey Student Learning Assessment, which is tied to the New Jersey Student Learning Standards. It was administered in the spring of 2020 for all students in grades 3 through 8, Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and Geometry for our math component, in grades 3 through 9 for ELA, and in science in grades 5, 8, and 11. As I mentioned, it is aligned to the New Jersey Student Learning Standards, and there are 5 performance levels. We have level 1, not meet the expectations. We have level 2, partially met the expectations. Level 3, approaching expectations. Level 4, meeting our expectations. And level 5, exceeding our expectations. I do want to note before we move forward into analyzing some of the data that this is the first time this assessment was administered since the pandemic. So our last administration of this assessment and Access for Rails and the DLM was in 2018-19. So we had a pause for 2 years, but we were required to administer this last spring. So in the area of grade 3 ELA across the district, we averaged about 48% of our students meeting or exceeding our expectations. And then it's broken down per school. So you'll notice we fared pretty well in comparison to the state. And obviously we do have some work to do, but we always do when it comes to student achievement. As we dug into some of the data and looking at our district-wide reports, there were 2 areas in grade 3 that we have some work to do, and that's in writing and in informational text while we're reading some of those nonfiction type of situations. In grade 4 ELA, we scored a little bit better. Our state was at 49%. District-wide, we averaged 65%. And again, you can see the breakdown per building. Grade 4, we had some areas as well. There's pretty much a trend in grades 3 through 5, honestly, in that writing and informational text component, which we'll be working on with our teachers throughout the course of the school year. In grade 5, coming off of a pandemic, I'd like to congratulate the teachers, all the teachers, quite honestly, but we rocked it in grade 5 in scoring and at an average of 73%. And I'd actually like to highlight, we scored higher in this particular administration than prior to the pandemic. At the secondary level, it's broken out by 6th grade through 9th grade. And as you can obviously tell, at each of the grade levels, we did score higher than the state average. However, as we get up into those higher secondary levels in grade 8 and grade 9, we do have a little bit more work to do, but we'll get there and address and dig into those needs as we go throughout the course of the school year. Now, we are also required to report out on all subgroups, meaning gender, ethnicity, and race. And you'll notice in this particular chart that, yes, within Wall Township, we do have additional race and ethnicities. However, if the student population is less than 20 students within that particular subcategory, we cannot report out on the results of that particular subgroup due to the fact that those students could be identified within the district. So this is just an overview as to how we scored or within each of those subcategories and the percentage of students within those grade levels that met or exceeded the expectations. In math, again, we did pretty well, scoring at a district level of an average of 64% across the district. And looking at some of the data, and I am going to look at my cheat sheet, I'm sorry. In grade 3, we do have some work to do within fractions. In grade 4, we have some work to do across the district within operations and algebraic thinking. In grade 5, we're going to also look a little bit deeper at fractions throughout the course of the year. And at the secondary level, this chart looks a little wonky, but I didn't want to do 2 separate charts for a particular reason. At the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade level, you'll notice 8th grade looks pretty low. However, if you look at Algebra 1 and Geometry, we have students that are in the middle school taking those courses, Algebra 1 and Geometry. So I'd say about 2/3 of the students are incorporated into that Algebra 1 or Geometry area, leaving a smaller group of students within our grade 8. So we recognize throughout the middle school components in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade that we have some work to do in the areas. It was a combination of a lot of the standards, but in ratios, proportions, expressions, and equations, modeling, and reasoning. But we're going to dig deeper and work with those particular administrators and teachers to make sure not only are we correcting it with the students that we currently have that are sitting in front of us, but also those that exited our classrooms. Again, the same type of chart is required for math within each of the subgroups. And then we have science, which was administered in grades 5, 8, and 11. We fared pretty well in comparison to the state, but again, we'll dig deeper within the particular standards in each of those grade levels to make sure we're preparing them better for the upcoming school year administration. Now we have the Access for ELS, and Access for ELS was administered for all of our ESL students between February and April of 2022. It was in grades K through 12. Again, all students who receive ESL services or those who were identified for ESL services but denied those services. It consists of 4 assessments. We have listening, speaking, reading, and writing. It measures the students' oral language, literacy, and comprehension. It's aligned to the WIDA standards. And there are 6 different proficiency levels. So the oral language component of the test is 50% listening and 50% speaking. The literacy component is 50% reading and 50% writing. Comprehension is 70% reading and 30% listening. And the students are scored in each of those areas in terms of each of the proficiency levels. And then they receive an overall score, which is 35% of their reading score, 35% of writing, 15% of listening, and 15% of speaking. Now those proficiency levels, because they're coming in at various abilities, they have entering, emerging, developing, expanding, bridging, and reaching. Now, because we have a smaller population of ESL students throughout the course of the district, I could not break it down by grade level, and I could not break it down by school because you'd be able to figure out who those students were. So to keep with the context of reporting out, this is a district-wide overview as to how our students performed in each of those areas. And I am proud of the fact that we have the majority of our students at the higher end of those proficiency levels, particularly coming off of 2 years of a pandemic. That really speaks to, 1, the program, and 2, the ability of our teachers to really meet the needs of our students and know them in order to get results like this after what the state went through. So we have 38% at developing, 34% at expanding, and 4% at bridging. The last assessment that I can bore you with tonight is the Dynamic Learning Map Assessment, which we call the DLM in education. And it was also administered in the spring. Our students were very busy. But this assessment is an alternate assessment for the students with the most significant intellectual abilities in the areas of ELA, math, and science. So the first assessment that we spoke of, the NJSLA, that's for basically all of our gen ed students. There are students within the district who are exempt from that because of their disabilities in these particular areas. So they take a different assessment, and that's what this is. So there are 4 proficiency levels for these students. They are emerging, approaching the target, at the target, or advanced. And I'm happy to say in ELA, we had about 56% who were either at the target or advanced. In math, we had 56% who were at the target or advanced. And in science, kind of follows the same trend as the gen ed students, where we need a little bit more assistance. But we have about 40, I can't add right now, 45% at target or advanced. So we did pretty well. Our next steps within the district would, as I mentioned, is for us to continue to conduct a bigger data dive. Myself, the supervisors will continue to work with the administrators within each of the buildings in order to identify particular students who may need assistance or gaps within our curriculum. There's a report that we receive at the district level that actually says confidential on it, because it outlines all of the standards within the domains that were assessed within the assessment. So we're able to use that from a district management position in order to identify gaps within our curriculum, to make adjustments, and so forth throughout the course of the school year. As I mentioned, identify students in need of academic assistance and inviting them into our morning programs or after-school programs, or encouraging them to just come for extra help during their lunch periods, and providing different tiered supports for our students. And of course, throughout the course of the school year, monitoring their student progress. Thank you.
We'll go right in.
Yes.
Okay, so here we go. We have a slight update as to what our health curriculum rollout is going to look like. Last month, I stood up and spoke briefly about where we were within the district with the health curriculum. So our timeline throughout the course of the standards being released and our teachers starting to write our curriculum. So in June, our teachers received formal training on the comprehensive health and PE standards. We had an outside consultant come in who went over all of the standards with our teachers who were potentially going to be writing the curriculum. In July, the health and PE teachers wrote that curriculum. It was due to my office by August 1st. So myself and one of the other directors, Mrs. Steiner, the director of student wellness and intervention, and I reviewed all of the curriculum and made a couple of revisions here and there where we felt it was deemed necessary. On September 1st, Ms. Steiner and I met with all of the health and PE teachers to go over the curriculum and explain our district expectations moving forward. And on September 13th, I met with the principals to do the same. We went over the curriculum and discussed how within this district we were going to roll it out. As I mentioned in last month's meeting, one of the parts that we felt was really important for the rollout was to have parent meetings at each of the buildings. So here's the dates for each of the buildings. Allenwood will be on October 4th, Central October 10th, Old Mill October 6th, West Belmar, October 12th, Intermediate, October 3rd, and the high school, October 10th. Yes, there are 2 schools happening at the same time. I'm going to make a clone of myself so that we can, no, I'm kidding. Ms. Steiner and I are going to divide and conquer so that we can get this going within the district. And each of those meetings will happen at 6:30. The presentations will include copies of the curriculum, an explanation of standards versus curriculum. I think sometimes, as I mentioned at last month's meeting, we confuse the fact that the state gives us standards, that the state does not give us curriculum. We write the curriculum at the district level in order to meet the needs of our community. We'll talk about the new and revised standards by grade level and show you and present to you the actual activities that the teachers will be implementing within their classrooms so that there are no surprises. You will have, at the elementary level, we are going to rotate the units between each of the buildings. So you'll get an idea as to what that unit rotation is going to look like. And then we'll also provide in the presentation the potential dates that the units will occur. At the elementary levels, as I mentioned at last month's meeting, it begins the second marking period. So we'll try to give an idea as to unit 1 will occur, I'm making this up off the top of my head, but December 6th through December 10th. This way, if you choose to opt out, you will receive that opt-out letter at that meeting. The opt-out letter will also be posted on the district website, and you'll be able to have time to know which lessons or which units you would prefer to be a part of. One thing that is not up there that I think I mentioned at the last meeting that I do want to mention now are the students who do not participate in particular units or in particular lessons. We will have alternative activities for those students. We have partnered with the counseling department and they will provide some more like character education and SEL type of lessons while those students or their peers are receiving their health lessons so that we use the time in a valuable manner. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be doing public comment next.
Wait 1 second and I'll answer that question. I promise I'll answer it in 1 second.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. All right, so we will open up for public comment on these 2 presentations. Please come up to the microphone. Did you? Yeah, could you just repeat it? Because we couldn't hear it.
Would you be able to release these materials ahead until October, ahead of the October time?
Yes, we can do that. All of our curriculum goes up on the website. So we're getting there. We've had a lot of curriculum that was written over the summer. So my supervisors and myself are in the process of making sure that all of it is in a uniform manner and will be posted on the district website at the curriculum and instruction tab. It's not currently there, I know. Give me a couple of weeks and I promise it'll be there. Okay.
Is there anybody else for public comment on these 2 presentations? Seeing none, we will close public comment. All right. So I'd like to say the school year is off to a great start so far. I attended the staff gathering that took place on September 1st at the Varsity Stadium. I got to tell you, the weather was perfect, and it was so nice to see all our district staff together to kick off the new school year. You literally could feel the excitement and energy from everyone there. I don't think, to my knowledge, there's ever been a gathering like that on the stadium with all the staff, and it was very nice. And Dr. Handerhan told a very heartwarming story of a colleague that she had who was a friend and a mentor, and it was very touching, and it was a great way to start off the new school year. So hopefully the school year will continue on and be very successful. Last night, I also had the opportunity to attend the CPAG, which is the Special Education Parent Advisory Group. They held their first meeting of the year here at the high school. They laid out the goals and priorities for the school year. Ms. Bond, our Director of Special Services, she gave a presentation on the department and updates. And they also had all the different building liaisons, which is something new from last year. Parents got together and we have liaisons from every building. A recap of the meeting and other announcements can always be found under the district website under the Students and Family tab. Parents can also join Wall Township CPAG private Facebook group. And details for the next meeting, which will be in November sometime, will be announced soon and it will be on the website. And I'd also like to thank Lauren Gaylock. She's the parent organizer for this group that has really taken it and grown it quite a bit. There was a nice little crowd there last night. And I know one of the conversations was about there are so many other parents that could also benefit from this group, and certainly encourage everybody to go to the website, look at the upcoming dates, and consider joining it because they have a lot to offer. And finally, unfortunately tonight, the Wall Township Public School District would like to extend our condolences to the family of Mrs. Helen Wright. Mrs. Wright was a longtime second grade teacher at Allenwood School. Then she moved to Central School, where she retired from. Mrs. Wright is remembered as a free spirit and was loved by her colleagues and was a dedicated teacher that touched the lives of so many students. Our thoughts and prayers are with her family and friends this evening. And with that, I will close my report. Dr. Handerhan, good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Adonisio. Good evening, everyone. And thank you, special thank you to the Wall High School Color Guard and to our student representatives, to the Board of Education, Madison Brody and Lauren Gill. We're representing tonight. Lauren, we hope you feel better. And just a note on that, we're taking a little bit of a different approach with the student representatives. And I'm really proud to share that we have 5. And when Madison was referring to how they're structuring the reports and their work, they're literally really excited about it and just really reconceiving the notion of student participation in the Board of Education process. So I'm particularly proud of them, and I am so excited to see where this journey takes them, and I thoroughly enjoy working with them. By now, most of you are aware that there was a vehicular accident at the high school this afternoon after dismissal. Gratefully, no one was injured. The building, however, did sustain some damage. The building inspector and an independent engineer, they were brought in to ascertain damage and related building concerns. I'm happy to report that with the exception of room C1, the building was deemed safe for school use. Each year, the superintendent of schools must report out on graduation data of special education students. The data from last year is as follows. Wall High School seniors with individualized education plans, 54. Total number of district seniors with IEPs, 62. Number of students with IEPs who graduated from Wall High School, 47. Number of students with IEPs who graduated from an out-of-district school, 4. Number of students with IEPs who aged out of special education services at the age of 21 from Wall High School, that number is 2. The number of students with IEPs who aged out of special education services at the age of 21 from out-of-district placements was 0. In summary, out of a population of 62 seniors with special needs, 51 received their high school diplomas this past June. In other news, I'm happy to report that we are in the midst of our Back to School Night programming. Central School's Back to School Night is tomorrow, September 21st. Wall High School's Back to School Night is Thursday, September 22nd. Wall Intermediate Schools is Thursday, September 29th. And Wall Primary's Back to School Night is scheduled for October 13th. I would also like to mention that I've heard such wonderful things about the back to school nights that have already taken place at West Belmar, Old Mill, and Allenwood. If you haven't already done so, please join our district managed Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter accounts. Some very wonderful district-wide happenings have been posted, including video highlights of our Wall High School's social club's back-to-school barbecue. That happened last Friday, and it was a beautiful afternoon for forging new friendships. As you may be aware, the district has advertised for a permanent principal at Central School. Applications will be accepted through October 1st. Additionally, the district has advertised for an acting principal of Wall High School. We hope to have a candidate for the October 11th agenda. I would like to also really shine a light on this, and that is to congratulate Mr. Brian Smythe and his team in the business office. The Association of School Business Officials International, otherwise known as ASBO, has awarded the Wall Township Public School District the Certificate of Excellence in Financial Reporting. ASBO International's Certificate of Excellence recognizes districts that have met the program's high standards for financial reporting and transparency. Our school district earned the Certificate of Excellence for its annual comprehensive financial report for the fiscal year which ended in 2021. ASBO International Executive Director David Lewis says, "The Certificate of Excellence's mission is to promote and recognize excellence in financial reporting. This informs stakeholders about the financial and economic state of the district, making it an important communications tool for building trust and engaging with the school community. Through our district's participation, we demonstrate our commitment to financial transparency." Again, congratulations to Mr. Smythe and staff. And it is my pleasure to provide them with a plaque that was sent to us from ASBO, from the Association of School Business Officials International. That is a tremendous accomplishment, and I could not be more proud or happier for the business office team. So thank you for all of your hard work, and I am well aware of the late nights that take place in that little red building. So thank you. Mr. Adonisio?
If I could just say,
Oh, please.
and I appreciate, receiving the recognition, the plaque, but the recognition is to the business office as well as to all the administrative assistants we work with in the schools that put up with our process for entering requisitions, following up with the purchase orders, providing the support documentation. But really, it's the individuals in the business office that prepare the comprehensive annual financial report. I give a shout out to Dawn Choma, who is integral, and also Agnes Bertoli, who's our accounting manager, who, in all honesty, probably does most of the work in preparing the documents for the auditors to come and review. But in all honesty, with all the noise we hear with regard to finances in this district, even though every department, whether it be the county executive superintendent, the office of fiscal accountability and compliance, whether it be the comptroller's office, anyone who's ever come into the district has said essentially the same thing. Year after year, the auditors come in and provide a clean audit and make the same statement. So for the business office and the staff that put up with a lot to receive this recognition, I'm happy for them, and I'm glad the district received it. So, and there's a lot of empty spots on that plaque. 2021 was the first year, and each year we're going to pursue the certificate as we go forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smythe, and congratulations to the business office and all the staff. I know how hard they all work and their dedication, certainly. It definitely shows, so congratulations. Don't have any Board of Education updates. Committee reports have been posted online for everybody to view.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Can I comment on the finance and facilities?
Oh, absolutely.
There were a couple of
explainers I'd like to put out there because we've been getting a lot of questions and some of them require a little bit of additional explanation. Next month in October, we're going to be introducing the scope of the referendum projects. We haven't been able to do so up until now in specific detail for a reason. And I know there's many people in the community that are chomping at the bit to find out what we're actually going to include in the projects. For us, it's important to remember that a referendum is not a vote on the projects per se. For us, the vote is for you're allowing us as a district to take on debt. That debt or renew debt that we have currently out there that is expiring. In order to do that, we have certain requirements through the bonding process that requires us to share information in its final form. In order to do that, we need our approvals from the state back so that we know what type of offsetting funds we're going to get. So right now we don't have final amounts. We are still waiting for them from the state. As soon as they come, we'll be able to hopefully pretty quickly tidy up and get all the information ready to give to the community so that everybody can dive in and take a look at what we're planning. There was another question that I saw circulating about the PR firm that we had hired. I'd like to note that the contract was a not to exceed number. We had to give ourselves a budget for our public relations. We set that number at 50,000. Doesn't mean we're going to go that high, but it is fair to say that with a lot of the comments that are out there in the public, that this is something that we felt was a value to the community and getting accurate information out there. And I'd like to close by saying again, congratulations to Brian and his team. We work with them every month and monitor what's going on closely, and to see them finally get some of the recognition for all of their hard work is well earned and well deserved. So congrats again.
Anybody else? None? Okay. At this time, we will open up for public comment on action items only. Those are the items we will be voting on this evening. So just please come up to the microphone.
Good evening, everyone. Gail Marr, 1440 Marconi Road, resident, WTA president. There is an item on the agenda this evening. It is a job description for paraprofessionals. We have not met with administration to go over that job description. Items have been added since the very, very long ago, 2001 job description. And we would like the ability to meet with administration before you folks vote on it. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else?
Hi, Betsy Cross. I live in Wall Township. I think it will be helpful if you had the camera over here showing the time, because I know I'm always cut off at 5 minutes, but other people go longer. Who are you?
Please,
Who
Ms.
are
Cross,
you?
please direct to the chair.
Who are you?
Ms. Cross.
All right. So that's my comment on that. I did write Lester Richards today. There was no WTEA contract online, so I'm not really sure what you're approving as a taxpayer. I'd love to have the contracts done. I'd like to have them done on time, and I'd like to be able to see them. So I wrote Dr. Richards saying, is it legal for you to vote on contracts that you have not attached to the agenda that the public can see? If we're paying contracts for the next 5 years, I'd like to see them. So I did not hear back from Dr. Richards, but it is on the record. So I don't know if you're able to do it. I thought the last time this happened, they were up there and we were able to look at them before the vote and we knew the percentages. So I think it's only fair to do that, because right now I'm in shock that Mr. Smythe got this plaque People are texting, they just can't even believe it. They're like, what is going on that he got
Ms.
that
Cross,
plaque?
it's not an action item. Please, please, this is the public
All right,
comment
don't
section
talk
for
during my
action
time.
items. Then stick to the
Okay,
process.
PR firm, we do not have a signed contract. I Oprah'd a contract, I didn't get a signed contract. So the gentleman that you referred to that gave you this award, I wrote his name down and I'm gonna contact him. So you don't have a signed contract with your PR firm. So you need one. My attorney, Walt Delors, needs to be paid. And last I spoke to him, he had said, Mr. McKeever
Ms.
had
Cross,
confirmation.
That's not an action.
I don't know if it's an action item or not
Well,
because
it's
I
not.
can't tell
It's-
from here.
It's not.
So you're not approving any type of payment whatsoever to Mr. Delors? Is Ms. Athena Cornell going to pay my attorney bills?
Action items, please.
Okay, so give us an update, Mr. Adonisio. No Board of Ed, no Wall taxpayer should be
Action
paying
items,
my
please,
attorney bills.
with regard to this
Athena
public
Cornell,
comment.
who's sitting right here, should be paying my attorney
Ms.
bills.
Cross, that's not an
Okay,
action item.
okay, that's what, I'm glad it's not an action item. I just wanted to be sure you didn't try and sneak it in, Mr. Adonisio, okay? I want to be sure, are there any more payments to Goldberg Segala? Any payments for them on here? That's the law firm that you've outsourced to defend you and a person that's injured in the Central School trailers. That case has been hidden now for 2 years and I just came across it.
That's not an action item.
Okay, good. I want to be sure they're not being paid. I Oprah immediate access those attorney bills and they did not come back. I Oprah'd them Monday, I Oprah'd them Tuesday, and I sent them into the controller's office. What is going on here? You paid $19,000 to this law firm and you can't produce a bill. So I'll send that over to that gentleman
Action
that gave
items,
Mr.
please.
Smythe the plaque.
Action
Okay?
items, please.
Action items. I would like a copy of what you're approving for the WTEA contract, if you could give me that before you vote on it. Do you have a copy you can hand to me before you vote? Is that a yes or a no, Mr. Adonisio?
This is public comment time, not question.
It
and
is.
answer.
Are you voting on the WTEA 5-year contract?
This is public comment, Ms. Cross.
Yeah, if you're voting on it, I want to see what you're voting on. Taxpayers want to know what you're voting on. And you shouldn't be voting on it without us seeing it. So you're not going to vote on it, Mr. Adonisio, or are you going to vote on it without us seeing it?
It's
Again,
public
Ms.
comment, Ms. Cross. So please finish your comment.
Mr. Smythe has 2 illegal contracts aligned. I'll bring that up again.
That's not an action item.
I know.
And there is
You-
no
you have
illegal-
never
and there is
voted
no
on them.
illegal contract.
You have never voted on them, so
That's
let's
not
get that on
true.
the record again.
We-
And
we've
I will
discussed this.
show it to that gentleman that you just gave me the
It's
name
been
for.
addressed in previous meetings. Your
And it's
information
been
is
falsely
inaccurate,
addressed, falsely addressed.
as is your information.
You're
False.
Falsely addressed.
Thank you. Please finish your
Okay.
comment.
That's what, let me see. How much is the agenda, the referendum right now, Mr. Nasser, that you put in for to the state? What's the amount?
not an
40,
action item.
60?
Thank you, Ms. Cross. Your time is up.
Do you not know the number?
Your time is up, Ms. Cross, and this is public comment, not question
You
and
should
answer.
table the referendum until you get your house in order. Table the referendum. It won't pass. Thank you.
Is there anybody else for public comment on action items? Seeing none, we will close public comment.
Mr. President,
Yes.
just point of clarification, when you submit an Oprah, we have 7 business days to, I was just listening that it was submitted on Monday and Tuesday. It wouldn't be 7 business days.
No, it wouldn't be. Mr. Smythe, could you give a little background?
It depends on what is being requested under Oprah. Typical records being requested, the district has 7 business days to provide a response. And I clarify response, not necessarily the records. However, certain documents are required to be provided, Oprah would consider immediately, such as contracts, and invoices. However, if the invoices being requested are from a prior year, they would not be considered immediate access. Immediate access is for invoices that would be current.
Within a year.
Ms. Cornell, could you respond to the question or comment that the board cannot vote on contracts? That was just said because they're not attached or whatever it was.
Certainly, the contracts will be made available after they're approved by the board.
And it's perfectly legal to vote on them?
It is.
Thank you. Okay. All right, could I have a motion for the approval of minutes for the special meeting of August 8th, 2022, executive session of August 23rd, 2022, and the business meeting of August 23rd, 2022?
I'll make,
Motion, Mr. Wondrak. Second, Ms. Hodnett. Any questions, discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Smythe, roll call, please.
Yes. Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Ms. Hodnett?
yes.
Mr. Mallett?
Yes.
Mr. Nasser?
Yes.
Mr. Sanfilippo?
Yes.
Mr. Stites?
Yes.
Mr. Wondrak? Mr. Annesi?
Yes. Okay. Policy, first reading. We'll look for a motion for 0143.2, 1511, 2415, 2432, Regulation 2432, 3161, 4161, 5513, Regulation 5513, 5517, and 5722. Could I have a motion on that?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Maliff. Any questions, discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Smythe, roll call, please.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Ms. Hodnett?
Yes.
Mr. Mallett?
Yes.
Mr. Nasser?
Yes.
Mr. Sanfilippo?
Yes.
Mr. Stites? Mr. Wondrak? Mr. Buffer?
Yes.
Mr. Annesi?
Yes. You're looking for a motion for approval for second reading for policy 2415.04, 2415.5, 2415.51, 2415.52, 2415.53, 2415.54, 2415.55, 2415.56, 2461, Regulation 2461.06, Regulation 2461.09, Regulation 2461.10, Regulation 2461.12, Regulation 2461.14, Regulation 2461.15, Regulation 2461.19, Policy 5350, and Regulation 5350. We have a motion on that.
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second? Mr. Smythe, roll call. Any question, discussion? Mr. Smythe, roll call, please.
Ms. Hodnett?
Yes.
Mr. Mallett?
Yes.
Mr. Nasser?
Yes.
Mr. Sanfilippo?
Yes.
Ms. Stites?
Yes.
Mr. Wondrak? Mr. Buffer?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Annesi?
Yes. Okay, could I have a motion for number 13, the consent agenda, which is 13, 14, 15?
Mr. Annesi?
Yes,
You referring to item 12?
I'm sorry, item 12, which is the approval of the consent agenda, which is encompassing 13, 14, and 15 on the agenda. I'll move it. You got a motion, can I have a second?
Second.
Second. Any questions, discussion? Seeing none. Mr. Smythe, roll call, please.
Mr. Mallett?
Yes, with the exceptions of 13A and 13B. I abstain on those two.
Noted. Mr. Nasser?
Yes.
Mr. Sanfilippo?
Yes.
Ms. Stites?
Yes.
Mr. Wondrak?
Yes.
Mr. Buffer?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Ms. Hodnett?
Yes, with the exception of items 13A and B. I'll abstain.
Noted. Mr. Annesi?
Yes, and I will abstain on number 13, A and B as well. Okay, at this time, we will open up for public comment on any school-related issue. Please come up to the microphone and state your name for the record.
Betsy Cross, I live in Wall Township. Just wanted to go over that again with my lawsuit. Wall has to now pay my attorney approximately, I think he put in for $41,000. Mr. McKeever put back in writing, he had board approval and it will be on an agenda. Thank God it's not on an agenda, so hopefully you're telling the law firm that they're going to pay the bill because they're the reason we lost it, and Mr. Smythe. And Mr. Smythe should be written up because all the documents that he was hiding were regarding the Central School trailers. And now we're finally going to figure out why Mr. Smythe bought them. So when I was looking online for something else,
For correction, Ms. Cross, Mr. Smythe did not buy the trailers. The Board of Education at the time did.
you can say what you want. Mr. Smythe put on that agenda. He is here right now, and if he could tell us where the trailers actually came from. If they came from Princeton, if he can pick up his head and let us know. Because it's not written in your report anywhere. So Mr. Smythe's got his head down as usual. And of course, he's not being videotaped, but I will. And it's a simple question, Mr. Adenizio. Ask Mr. Smythe, did he buy those trailers from Princeton?
Ms. Cross, we went through all this.
No, we
Yes,
didn't.
we have.
And
It's
this
been
is,
asked
this
in
is
your-
we didn't.
public, this is public comment.
And it's
Please
public comment
continue
on
your
any topic,
comment.
and don't use my time.
Please continue your
So
comment.
Mr. Smythe can answer, yes, they came from Princeton, or no, they didn't come from
And this is
Princeton.
not
It's a
question and
simple
answer.
Public
question.
comment.
It's a simple question. And once you start getting subpoenas to answer it, then you'll start answering it.
It's
Because
public
it's been
comment, Ms.
3
Cross.
years and Mr. Smythe still hasn't said why he didn't visit those filthy, disgusting trailers that he was tasked to do. He left that out from a subpoena, a grand jury subpoena from the Monmouth County Prosecutor's Office. And that is a fact. He also lied and said that Ted Hopkins inspected the trailers. And I called Ted Hopkins, and Ted Hopkins said, I never inspected those trailers. He said, I told Brian not to buy them. I told him to only buy used trailers. So now we're trying to figure out,
Okay, Ms.
3
Cross,
years
this
later,
is hearsay.
3 years later, why he bought them. And tonight, he should tell us where they came from. It's a simple question. He was the person that was in the room when they bought the trailers. The pictures were disgusting, and we don't know if he showed them to the 5 board members that voted. 4 are still alive, and they're going to have to say, yes, Brian showed this to us, or no, Brian didn't. We didn't know what we were buying. Brian told us he had inspected them. Brian told us that Ted Hopkins inspected them, and Ted Hopkins never did. Because if he did, you'd go after him and sue him. Because kids are sick. You have a major lawsuit in front of you from a child that's sick. Major. And now you've had to outsource it so you could hide it. So I never saw it in the attorney bills because you outsourced it to Goldberg Zagala. And he can't produce the bills, and they are within 12 months. So another lie from Brian Smythe as usual of why he couldn't give it. They're all within 12 months. So we will get to the truth. Everybody up here, sitting up here, except Miss McCann and probably Mr. Buffa, and
Please direct your comments to the chair, Ms. Cross.
will be subpoenaed because there's information you've all been hiding for 3 years. And you promised us, Ralph, you're going to be so sick of transparency. And boy, then you really shut down. You had people working on the job without contracts, not logging in, and you did illegal bids. So what a bunch of nonsense from this guy that gave him this plaque. It's a joke. So he'll get all of that. Kathleen Duran was not interviewed, and she asked to be. She's not in that list. All those names you covered up that didn't want to be interviewed, one of the biggest ones was Brian Smythe and Mo Belize and Ted Hopkins. You hid all the names. So we'll get to the truth. And we need the attorney to pay my attorney, and we need to get to the truth of using my son's picture illegally in a lawsuit by a law firm and making up all this nonsense about how I couldn't use a link. It was a bunch of nonsense.
All right, thank you, Ms. Cross.
And
Your time is up.
Mike Shelton
Thank you.
posting all this
time is up, Ms.
nonsense on
Cross.
Facebook,
Thank
a
you.
grown man.
Thank you.
Your time is up,
It is
Ms. Cross.
pathetic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And he's not here as usual.
Thank you, Ms. Cross. Your time's up.
Your idea of the facts couldn't be farther from the truth.
Is there anybody else for public comment?
Hi, Rita Spader, Wall Township. Forgive me, I suck at public speaking, so I might crack. Sorry about that. So I know that before I got here, you guys had a discussion in regards to Mrs. Sergio's status. And I just have to ask, I know there's a lot that you guys can't disclose. I don't know where we stand in it. I don't think the community
Point of
understands.
clarification, we didn't
Yes,
have that discussion.
We did not have any discussion about personnel.
I thought you guys were looking at an interim principal.
I'll address it. Yes. Hi, Ms. Spader. Yes, we, in my superintendent's report, I indicated that we did indeed advertise for an acting principal. And certainly my hope, the timeline is that we will have an acting high school principal for the October 11th agenda for approval at that time. So that is the timeline that I have cast.
Okay, so I know you have your hands full.
Right.
I totally know.
That was the extent
So,
of the
yes,
conversation.
yes. So with that said, I think a lot of people are very confused on where Rose stands. And I don't think there's answers. And there's a lot of people that miss her. There's a lot of people that need that foundation back in the school. And I know you guys probably can't disclose whatever you guys are going through on the back end, but there are people that support her and want her back and think that the school really needs her. Her dedication, her longevity here has been very important. So I just want to say that I'm supporting her. I just hope you guys take a look at it. I don't know what went on in the background, but she means a lot to this school. She put a lot of her life into this school, and I hope you guys visit that. That's it.
Thank you. Is there?
Good evening, board members and Dr. Handerhan. My name is Bryn Heaney. I'm the senior class president, and this is Kirsten Brown, the treasurer of the senior class. We are here tonight to talk about the status of our senior class trip. As all of you know, this has been a tradition here at Wall for several years, where the seniors have a class trip to Disney for their final year. This is something myself and several other students have been looking forward to for as long as I can remember. It's spending one last time with our fellow classmates in the most magical place on earth. It's something that I'm so excited for, and it's really important to us. It's truly the last chance for us to build our final memories of our time here at the Wall Schools. After discussing with our wonderful class advisors and student advisory group, a lot still has to be done for this trip, and that can't be done without the board approval. So tonight, here as the senior class officers and senior class members, we would like to ask you, the board, to approve the senior class trip as soon as possible. Time is drawing near for deposits and reservations, and time is of the essence. So please trust us to represent Wall High School, our school, with pride, and give us the opportunities to create memories that will last forever on our senior trip. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Kathleen Duran, Wall Township. Ms. Handerhan, I'm just going to make a mention at the beginning. I'm going to assume it was your voice. I couldn't actually see your lips move from where I was sitting, but you are constantly upbraiding Ms. Cross for reminding her that it was public comment. She was making public comment, and you constantly interrupting her struck me as a bit juvenile. And then you followed up.
That was not Dr. Handerhan.
It was you, whoever it is.
That was me.
Who are you? I can't see your name.
Athena Cornell. I'm one of
Oh,
the
the
attorneys
lawyer.
for the board. I
Oh,
am.
yeah.
It's
Okay.
public comment. It's not question and answer. That was the
But
interruption.
we've been told that we're allowed to ask the questions of the president. Are we not, Ralph? Maybe you want to talk to Athena and explain to her the ground rules you set for us, which was to ask the questions. And that people would get back to us. If they didn't now, they would get back to us later. So Ms. Cornell, please be advised that we were told to ask questions up here, and I'm going to ask one right now. What is the protocol for when a student damages the building? For example, what happened with the student crashing into the building recently? What is the protocol? And if someone could answer that, I'd appreciate a response on that. Maybe Ms. Handerhan could send me an email. And was there drug testing conducted on the child that drove the car into the building? I also wanted to make a comment that the payment for Betsy Cross's lawsuit, Ms. Handerhan, you made the comment, I think it was you at this time, who said that everything Ms. Cross said couldn't be further from the truth, or was that Ms. Cornell also?
That was me.
You really should be careful about saying something like that, Ms.
And
Cornell.
it's Dr. Hanrahan, not
Oh,
Mrs. Thank you.
I can't see her name tag from here.
I'm just
so-
letting you know.
Okay, thank you. And I'm going to assume you're Ms. Cornell? You're not Doctor.
I am Ms. Cornell.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so Ms. Cornell, when you said at the end that nothing could be further from the truth, you should be very careful about making that statement in your capacity as a board attorney, because the statements that Betsy Cross made are backed up by documents that have been subject to pretty careful legal scrutiny also. And she has spoken the truth here over and over again. That's why I get up to let people know that the documents have been looked at and there is, in fact, a problem. Now, I wanted to know, and I still want to know, and I haven't heard a response, who's going to pay for the $40,000+ that the court awarded Ms. Cross? I was present for the hearings. I was on the Zoom links. I made my arrangements to listen in, and I know that the law firm and Brian Smythe and the board looked like bleeping idiots. And now there's a $40,000 bill, which is hardly ever awarded in Superior Court on Oprah claims, because there has to be a finding of willful withholding. It can't just be a simple little error, because the judge doesn't assign legal fees for simple little errors. It simply corrects the Oprah and corrects what took place. So you can grimace all you want. I'm very well aware of Oprah lawsuits, as are you, Ms. Cornell. But it is very rare to see a person win $40,000. The mic is muted. I don't know. Whoever's running the electric show over there. I think the law firm of McKeever should pay for it. I do think that Brian should be written up. I think the documents were willfully withheld. We know they weren't in the production of the Monmouth County, that was made to the Monmouth County Prosecutor's Office. We went through the documents one by one, and we found the discrepancies. And I am one of the people that asked to be interviewed repeatedly, even asking the attorney in person to make sure that I was. And after being contacted initially by an email, it fell into the universe, even after an in-person visit, to make sure that I was visited. So the investigation left out numerous people, including people who had rather diligently raised their hand and said, I need to be heard. I have facts you may want to hear. I have questions that really should be answered. So I still don't even think we should be paying for that whole thing that was called an investigation. That was nothing more than a defense piece written, I think, for the current lawsuit that you guys are all facing. And it was in no way an actual investigation, but I want to know who's going to pay the $40,000 and why there's no culpability. The judge found it. And Ms. Cornell, you can spin it any way you want, but I know those fees aren't shifted to a school board. The judge knows what they're doing. And those fees aren't shifted to a school board to take money away from children unless the conduct by the attorney and the business administrator in failing to respond properly to those Oprahs was wrongful. So who's going to pay? Kids? That's $41,000. Buy some computers, buy some books. Why are we paying for it? Why are we rewarding a guy?
Thank you, Ms.
Sorry.
Duran. Your time is up.
Thank you. Why are we rewarding a guy who's costing our school
Thank
district
you, Ms.
money?
Duran.
Lisa Adamo, Township. I just have to stand up and say, I have 3 teenagers, 2 of which drive. The amount of money I've spent in fender benders is embarrassing. I actually totaled my own car at 17. To stand up here and even mention a drug test is unacceptable. And I'm glad I'm here to stand up for that child who made a mistake today, because it's called an accident for a reason.
Thank you. Is there anybody else for public comment? Seeing none, we will close public comment. Oh, I'm sorry.
Hi, my name is Ellie Rezik. I just had a couple questions about vaccine information on the website. I'm really happy to say that I'm really happy that the vaccine information that was stating that unvaccinated kids would have to quarantine longer and all that, I'm glad that's removed. But there is still information on the website directing parents to vaccination clinics. And the stuff that I'm reading online about this vaccine is beyond horrific, the stuff it's doing to people all around the world. I don't know how our board is endorsing this product. I mean, it's basically endorsing it by having it out on our website. So my question is, why is it still out there? And then who is telling us to put it out there? Who is directing us to do this? Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else for public comment? Seeing none, we will close public comment. Dr. Handerhan?
Hi, thank you. I just want to point out that we are required to provide vaccine information to parents. So that is, I just wanted to make you aware that as Department of Education requires us to make it available, the information available. So it is, as you mentioned, posted on our website and we're meeting the obligation in that way.
Thank you. And just in regards to the senior class trip, as a board, nothing has been presented to us. So I don't know what is cooking in that department, but we will wait and see.
Well, I would like to thank the students for articulating their positions so wonderfully. So they did a great job
absolutely.
tonight. Great leadership in the senior class. I just want to add that.
Ms. Cornell, did you?
Sure. Just
Thank
for purposes of clarification, there is no court order awarding attorney's fees, for starters. That's very clear in the order. The language of the order is that the parties can confer and discuss that. The court did not make a finding with regard to attorney's fees. The court certainly did not make a finding with regard to any kind of willful type behavior. And I think there needs to be clarification in terms of what the nature of the suit really is. The issue was never production of documents. There have been thousands upon thousands of documents provided. But when you provide those documents, there are certain exceptions to Oprah, and certain things get redacted or blacked out. Things like people's names, things like personally identifiable information, student initials, and the like, and which is how those documents were prepared and delivered. And so what the court did is review the redactions, which again included names of residents, names of school employees, names of board members, student initials, and references to certain subject areas, reviewed the redactions to determine if they were appropriate or if the information could be disclosed. That analysis by the court included that many of the redactions were appropriate and the information should remain blacked out because it's personally identifiable or otherwise relates to a privacy interest. And some of the redactions could be removed, which was what the nature of the suit is. With regard to the documents and the board minute meetings, there were 6 meetings that relate to the minutes that were requested. All of the minutes were provided. Some of that information was redacted. Again, the court made an analysis. Some of the information continued to remain redacted. Some was unredacted. So when you look at things like, for example, the minutes to the meeting of February 16th, there were 6 paragraphs that were redacted with sensitive information. 2 of those, for example, the court said could be unredacted. Copies of all of the information in terms of what was unredacted and what was provided is available in the business office if anyone would like to review it, or if there was a request for that. From a historical perspective, I think it would be important to put into context that over the past 2 school years, the district has received 92 Oprah requests from Ms. Cross that have generated a production of over 12,685 documents. This is in addition to the documents that were included in the case, which included hundreds of documents that were produced, as well as thousands of documents that had to be reviewed to determine if they were even responsive to the request. In that review, thousands upon thousands of documents were not responsive to the request, but still needed to be reviewed. At the end of the day, all the documents were provided. Some of the personal information was unredacted. Those changes were made, and there was nothing in the information that was provided, either in the documents, the redactions, the attorney bills, the board minutes, that support any of the baseless and outlandish allegations of wrongdoing by Ms. Cross. It has come to our attention that prior to returning to live streaming today, what was being recorded were edited versions of the board meetings to suit personal agendas. So the board felt it important to return to live streaming so that the full meeting and all of the information would be included to the public, and therefore also felt it was important to provide clarification with regard to some of these allegations. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cornell. Any board members have anything?
Yeah, I have one.
Mr. Hall.
Yeah, the one thing of all the nonsense that I heard tonight was we keep hearing about, withholding documents in the Monmouth County Prosecutor's Office. This is a fact. I think she said it was a fact. If the Monmouth County Prosecutor's Office was aware that Brian didn't handle information that he should have, is it your opinion, legal opinion, Ms. Cornell, that he would have, and we would have heard of that certainly by now?
If the Monmouth County prosecutor was seeking documentation from the board, they would have subpoenaed it or provided us with a court order, which has not occurred.
Right. So to say that we didn't do that and they're aware of it would make, just doesn't, on the face of it, make any sense. Right.
Why didn't he give it then?
Please don't yell out.
Joe, ask him why he didn't turn over the documents.
Ms. Cross, public comment is done. Please stop yelling out.
92 Oprahs because you wouldn't answer questions.
Point of order.
Yes.
So it's all your fault. Answer
Ms.
questions.
Cross, please stop yelling out. There are people here that want to hear what has to be said. Mr. Hall, please continue.
Excuse me, that was it.
Okay. Thank you. Was there anybody else had anything? Mr.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did have one more. I apologize.
Okay.
In regards to the one attorney that Ms. Cross kept referencing, and about wanting to see the bills, would that attorney be a insurance attorney? Would that be an attorney that is that the insurance company is covering?
Yeah, and if that would be in response to the allegation that we outsourced that and hid that from everyone. That
Right,
would
so-
be an attorney that is appointed by the insurance company.
Right. So the insurance company provided us an attorney to cover the case. And so Ms. Cross is looking for the attorney bills, which we would never see, they wouldn't come to us. They would be going to the, wouldn't they go to the insurance company?
It depends on the case and how it's being handled with the Diploma Joint Insurance Fund. Sometimes the billing will come directly to the school district and we'll pay up to our deductible. On occasion, they'll go through the insurance, the Joint Insurance Fund. In this instance, the invoices to date have come directly to the school district. Our fiscal year is July 1 through June 30th. Any expenses that have been paid were in the prior school year, not the current school year.
Right, I'd still like to see them.
And an open request that was received by the district for such records will be provided in accordance with the manner in which the request was made.
It was immediate access.
Please stop yelling out.
You said it was Oprah, it wasn't.
Mr. Wondrich.
Yes, on a more important note, school safety. We had a review, a meeting with our safety specialist, superintendent, and reveals that we're way ahead of the game without giving the plans and information away. But I'm feel on behalf of the board that everybody's doing a good job with this. So it's a lot of technicalities involved to it. But we had a very progressive meeting that I feel that we're on the right track and moving right along with it. Very, very secure. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? Yes, Mr. Sanfilippo.
Just wanted to make sure that those meetings for the health curriculum are going to be posted on the website for people.
Yes, and there'll also be a flyer that's going out to families as well.
And that's our new website.
Yes.
Anybody else? Seeing none, could we have a motion to go back into executive session for letters A, D, G, and H on the agenda? Motion on that?
I'll make the motion.
Motion, the site's second. Mr. Nassar. Any questions, discussions? All right. We will be adjourning from executive session. No action will be taken by the board. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Anybody opposed? All right. All right, everyone. Have a good evening. Thank you.